So as I said, the scope of enum1 will be only till my action. Even if the action is calling some function, the scope ends over there. It won't go till the function. So when I run this, as you can see, there is no value displayed over here. And if you see the pointer over here, it is inside the function login, fn login. That is, it is displaying this part. That is the value of enum1, which is blank, which is null. Now, as you know that the default value of any variable, if it is not initialized, is null. Now, which means that my function is not taking this value 15. The scope of this value is only till the action. Okay, but I can do one thing. If I want to pass this value to my function, I can pass it as a parameter. If I write enum1 in my function, okay, so I'm passing it over here in my calling function, in my called function, and here I will catch it over somewhere. Let's say even here I can give some other name as well. Suppose I give it x. Okay, so what is happening is 15 value is passed to my function through parameters, and now x will have the value 15. And what happens when I display x? Okay, so now when I run the script, you will see value 15 is displayed. So in this way, using parameters, you can pass the values from actions to functions. So since you, as I said, I showed you about declaring the variable. This will help you to know the scope of different variables and how the variables behave in functions and in different actions. So you can try it on your own. You can use different conditions wherein you'll come to know the scope of the variables. Now there are ways in which we can make this variable global. Okay, so what do I mean by global? By saying global, the scope of this variable will be not only in this action but also in the associated function libraries. That is, if I make it global, I can use it anywhere. I can use that value in my test, I can use it in my function libraries. So in this way, I can use it in across my different functions, sub procedures and actions. So how to make any value variable? There are two ways of making any value variable. The first way is by saving it in as an environment variable. Now as you know that I explained you about environment variable in my previous chapters, wherein when you go to your settings, you can see environment tab over here. We have two types of environment variables, that is built-in and user-defined. So user-defined, you can define your own environment variable. You can either set it over using the settings option, or you can set it using within the script itself in runtime. The code for that is environment. Now give the name of the parameter enum1, which you want to keep it as the environment variable, and put some value in it, say 15, since I've used this value before. Okay, so now enum1 will be saved as a user-defined environment variable, and the value of enum1 will be 15. So this enum1 can be accessed from anywhere. Okay, let's say I'm not passing this to my function, I'm just simply calling my function. And let's see what happens when I use message box enum1. So this was about declaring the environment variable. In order to access it, you cannot directly write variable name. You have to write environment, since it's an environment variable, not a normal variable, and in double brackets, in double quotes. Okay, so you have to write the variable inside these double quotes, and in this way you can access the variable anywhere. If you have, doesn't matter where you have declared, you can access it in some other function or in other action. So let's see what happens when we run this. So as you can see, it is displaying 15. Fn login is displaying 15. So inside fn login, the environment variable enum1 is having 15. So in this way, I've increased the scope of my variable. The scope of the variable is not only limited to my action, but also to my associated functions or sub procedures, whatever I am using. I'll show you the second way of making your variable global. Global in the sense it can be accessed across actions and functions and sub procedures, no matter wherever you have declared it. So let's say inum1 is having value 15. I've declared it and initialized it in my action. So instead of doing that, what I'll do is we'll declare and initialize it in my function library, associated function library. Okay, let's remove inum2, which we don't need it now. So I've declared and initialized in function library, and in this way I can make it global. Now I'm trying to display it in my fn login, and also let's say I'll keep a message box here, inum1. Okay, so let's see what happens when I run this. The value 15 is displayed. Now remember guys, I had declared and initialized it in scope .qfl, that is my function library, but still I can retrieve the value in my action. And as you can see, again 15 has appeared in my fn login, that is I can also access in my function library. So these are the two ways in which you can make your variable global. I would say the first method, that is declaring using environment variable, is a better option, because it is not advisable to declare any variable in your function library, because function library is purely meant for keeping your functions inside. So whenever you want to use it, you can just use it in your action by declaring it as environment variable, and you can retrieve it anywhere in your script. So guys, till now we had seen about the subtypes in the variables, the different operators, the different types of operators, and we had also seen the conditional statements and the loops, and now we had also seen about the scope of these variables. So what I'll do is, before starting with the VB scripting, I'll show you some of the inbuilt functions in your VB script which will be useful while programming. So let's just remove this.